So I will put this forward to an atheist. And guess what? If an atheist said, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to do it. I will say, all right, so long, my friend. Goodbye now. Au revoir. Ciao. Take care. And if you want to go dive into hell head first, tough choice, my friend. You made a tough choice. As opposed to me studying the contingency argument, to studying this and studying that and getting into all types of philosophy to try to bring him around. Why? He's just lying. Don't you know that the atheist is denying his fitrah? And that is what your challenge is, O da'i. Caller to Islam, public speaker, student of knowledge, sheikh, alim, allama, whatever you are, this is our challenge. You're supposed to use the Qur'an to guide people to Islam. One will say, but the people don't believe in the Qur'an. How am I going to use the Qur'an to guide them to Islam? We say at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the disbelievers of Quraysh also did not believe in the Qur'an. And the Qur'an was used to guide them to Islam. The Sahaba became Muslims because of the da'wah of the Prophet ﷺ and because of the Qur'an. The Qur'an remains to be the primary source to give da'wah. Of course, coupled with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Not external resources, not external elements. Then we'll say, what about the atheist? There's no point in using the Qur'an as a reference because the atheist does not believe in the Qur'an in the first place. We say that's absolutely wonderful and that requires a sip of coffee. Bismillah. When I come across something like this, then I will say to this atheist, okay, let us play this game then. I have a challenge for you. And you need to understand how this works. You're claiming that this Qur'an is not, you don't believe in the Qur'an, therefore I cannot cite it for you as means of guidance. Well, I have a challenge that Allah presented for you in the Qur'an. Meaning, for you to dismiss the Qur'an from being a revelation, there's a challenge that is being presented to you. Let's see your capability and your potential. And if you're able to meet this challenge, if you're able to overcome this challenge, then you have grounds to say that you don't want to accept the Qur'an as a revelation. The Qur'an constitutes nothing for you. And that is the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِّمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَىٰ عَبْدِنَا فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِّثْلِهِ وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ فَإِن لَّمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ. And if you are in doubt concerning that which we have sent down upon our servant, our slave, Muhammad alayhi salam, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِّثْلِهِ, then produce a chapter the like thereof. And the smallest chapter in the Qur'an, as we know, Surah Al-Kawthar, which is 3 verses, a line and a half, 10 words. إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. 10 words. Allah challenged the entire creation. No, wait. Not just you, the listener. وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ, and call on to your aides, your assistants, your witnesses, your helpers, besides Allah, if you are truthful. Tamam? So Allah Azza wa Jal challenged mankind, speaking to the Arabs back then, who were the most eloquent and the most prolific of people in terms of language. This is their language. They were known for the mu'allaqat and for the great poetry. That the Arabs actually didn't have much going on in this world except language. Language was their greatest skill and the greatest cultural element. The greatest cultural element of the Arabs was generosity and language, really. So Allah used that same language of theirs and gave them that challenge. Now, when an author, if a human author were to make a challenge of this nature, then one must be reluctant lest one has this challenge met and then gets destroyed. Meaning, if Shakespeare, hypothetically speaking, were to make such a claim, let's say Shakespeare wrote a book and said, I challenge anyone in this world to write even a sentence like my book. just a sentence from my book, I challenge anyone in this world to be able to bring something equivalent to that or better than that. We all know very well that if somebody were, first of all, it's a subjective issue. But let's say somebody were to bring, the next day, somebody says, oh yeah, Shakespeare, well here, take this poem from me. Then Shakespeare's career would be over. His career would be over. And he would be spat on and humiliated and made fun of and mocked for the rest of his life, even after he dies, because he made such a bold challenge that was immediately met by just some guy down the street. So, يعني, a human is unable to make this challenge in the first place, just because it could easily be met and fulfilled by any given challenger, especially with the nature of human beings, you know, being naturally, you know, contenders, and they like these kind of challenges and so on and so forth. Now, here's the most amazing part. The most amazing part is that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us the result of this challenge immediately. The next ayah says, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا. If you're unable to do it, and you will never be able to do it. You will never be able to do it. فَاتَّقُوا النَّارِ. Then protect yourself from the fire. Then protect yourselves from the fire. So how in the world can a human at any given point in time make a challenge like that? And here we are 1400 years plus later, this challenge has not been met, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. If this is not the greatest miracle of the Quran, among the greatest miracles of the Quran, then what is? Do you understand how many people attempted to actually meet this challenge? Do you know that there was Musaylim al-Kadhab who brought his own version of the Quran and made his own surah that none of you even know, let alone memorize, because it was human made and it was thrown into the dustbin of history? Do you know that Anis Shorosh and a bunch of these Palestinian Christians also wrote a book that they called the Furqaan, wherein they made ayat similar to the way the Quran is composed, but they did so with, you know, by replacing certain words with Christian words, and, you know, about Jesus and the Messiah and Yeshua and so on and so forth. And they actually read this to people, and they were laughed at and they were mocked and ridiculed because of how ridiculous it sounded. Do you not understand that until now this challenge has not been met, and had it been met, there would be no Islam right now, because people will say, hey, this Quran of yours made this challenge, and here we are. You know how many places in the Quran Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَلَوْ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَى أَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لَا يَأْتُونَ بِمِثْلِهِ وَلَوْ كَانَ بَعْضُهُمْ لِبَعْضٍ ظَهِيرًا. If the human and jinn came together to produce something like this Quran, they would not be able to do so, even if they were helpers and aiders of one another. In many occasions, Allah said they can't even bring a surah or 10, nothing, not even the smallest surah. فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. This is the living challenge of the Quran that will force the atheist, say, if you're real, show me someone who met this challenge, or you take this task up on your own. If you're really sincere to disprove the existence of God and to disprove that this is a revelation from God, show me your courage, show me your skills, show me your philosophy and your intellect by learning the Arabic language, and be my guest, Habibi. Be my guest. Produce a surah like the Quran. You people don't understand that it's not doable. In spite of the many attempts, it's not doable. And this challenge remains to be effective and alive and available to be challenged, and to that challenge to be accepted by any given person from any given background. The Arabs at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, who were the most qualified to meet this challenge, failed, let alone the generations after, let alone now, let alone I don't know when later, as the language continues to, you know, lose its strength and its value. People barely speak proper Arabic nowadays. Back then, these were qihah, these were real Arabs with real language skills. And they failed. They hated the Prophet ﷺ. They had to call him magician, poet, crazy, kahin, soothsayer. They called him all kinds of names. But they couldn't meet the challenge of the Quran. So I will put this forward to an atheist. And guess what? If an atheist said, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to do it. I will say, oh, so long, my friend. Goodbye now. Au revoir. Ciao. Take care. And if you want to go dive into hell head first, tough choice, my friend. You've made a tough choice. As opposed to me studying the contingency argument, to studying this and studying that and getting into all types of philosophy to try to bring him around. Why? He's just lying. Don't you know that the atheist is denying his fitrah? The atheist is denying his fitrah. He knows deep down that there's la ilaha illallah. I'm a very straightforward guy. Allah says in the Quran, وَجَاهِدُهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. Then we use this Quran to strive and challenge the disbelievers of every type, using some basic elements externally as an addition, as a complementary to the Quran and the Sunnah. يعني لا بأس مقبول إلى حد ما, but not as foundational, not as primary source, not as my, the fundamentals of my argument. Absolutely not. The Quran is the way forward. And this challenge is what you present to anybody who claims that the Quran is not from Allah. Why is this important? Because if they're unable to disprove the authenticity and the authority and the validity of the Quran, so now it's binding on them to accept that this is from Allah, because Allah declared in the Quran that He is the creator and that He is the one who sent down this Quran, and He told us all the things that we need to know and what religion we need to follow and what we need to do. Everything is laid out in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So it becomes binding and compulsory on the disbeliever, once he acknowledges that the Quran is from Allah, to accept its message and to act accordingly. This is the line of thinking that we follow. You don't believe in the Quran? Let me prove to you that the Quran is sound. It's from Allah. Of course, there are many other things besides this ayah. I mentioned this ayah as one of those main challenges. There are many other supporting aspects from the Quran that you could use to prove the authoritative nature of the Quran. And that is what your challenge is, O Da'i. Caller to Islam, public speaker, student of knowledge, sheikh, alim, allama, whatever you are. This is our challenge. How to learn these fundamental elements, how to learn these evidences, how to memorize them, how to convey them to the people. This is the skill that is required. This is what the Prophet ﷺ is being told to do. And this is what we have to do in turn. Notice the Prophet ﷺ didn't use any external elements to give da'wah to the people around him, be it Christians, be it Jews, be it the disbelievers of Quraysh, the idolaters, even the atheists. Everybody the Quran was used. Even when we came to the atheists, then we have an ayah from the Quran. أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Were they created by something else, or are they the creator? Were they created by nothing, or are they the creators of themselves? The Quran even met the challenge of the basic atheist who claims that we came from nothing. To the Christians, قُلْ يَا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى كَلِمَةٍ سَوَاءٍ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. They say, O people of the book, come to a common term between us and you. أَلَّا نَعْبُدَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ, that we should worship none but Allah. وَلَا نُشْرِكَ بِهِ شَيْئًا, and we shouldn't associate any partners with Him. وَلَا يَتَّخِذَ بَعْضُنَا بَعْضًا أَرْبَابًا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, we shouldn't take from amongst each other gods besides Allah. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَقُولُوا شَهِدُوا بِأَنَّا مُسْلِمُونَ. If they turn away, say, bear witness that we are Muslims. Bear witness that we are Muslims. This is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. That's how he gave da'wah to mankind. And bear in mind that Allah Azza wa Jal knew that this message of his will be for the entire mankind. Just as we said right now, it's for the entire world. This da'wah is for the entire world, meaning it will be effective and fruitful until the end of time. Allah knew what times we will come to. Allah knew that we will come to this time where atheism will be widespread, and philosophy will be the common and most prevalent way of thinking. Allah was aware of all of that when He revealed the Quran, and He gave us these guidelines. Either you take on the message in its pure form, as it was done by the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba and those who followed them, or you follow the way of the free thinkers, the intellectuals, the independent thinkers who spend their whole day absorbing and studying material from outside of Islam, and then they want to now mix it and merge it with Islam to try to communicate a new, more hip and more appealing message to the world. But it doesn't work this way. You choose. And the message is clear. Even for the atheists, the message is clear.